How's it going? Wooden Spoon Supercoach here. Shout out to this guy. I put his comment as a multi as a bonus since he got in early. Next comments will be picked for the trials, but we'll talk about that later. The total potential winnings now sits at about $60. Hopefully a good chunk of that gets added to the prize pool. There's the code if you want to join. It's completely free. So, there it is there. That's the bet that got put on. Another 16 bucks potentially. So, I upgraded this table because it just kind of looks shitty and it's hard to read. So, boom, Google Sheets to the rescue. I've added way more data into this table, and it's this number on the right here is a result of putting all these numbers in an equation and spitting out this number. I'll explain what all these columns are and why this number over here is important. If you want to skip the maths and the data bit and just take my word for it that it's good and it works, then skip to here. Otherwise, I'm going to continue. Cool. So, we've got the team rank, which is just how difficult they are to play. I calculated that using the odds of making the top 8. So, don't Masood me if your team is blue or green. And playing against each of these teams is worth a value. That's how we get our draw score. The amount of home games. So this is home game wins minus away game wins. And what that helps us get, plus the win percentage total, is a fortress factor. So the reason we don't just use the home game wins is because a team like the Titans had the same amount of wins as they did home and away, so, and they get a 0, which makes it annoying to work with. So we add in their total win percentage, because that is something you want to factor in as well, and then that gives us a fortress factor, just a name I came up with, and then home game value. So home game value we get by fortress factor times home games. Then we go home game value times frequency, how many home games they have, and we get this number. This is just bringing it down to a 1 decimal number. Then we go home game value and frequency times, what was DS? Draw score. And then divide that number by 10 and we get this number. So if we filter by this number here, you can see that we get Manly, Storm, Dolphins, Bulldogs, Tigers. For the first 11, they seem to be the best teams when you factor in all of this. So, just to give an example of it working, Manly's up the top. I realize that might look incredibly biased, because fucking look at me. But, I'll explain it. So, Manly have a really high home game win rate of 75%. Only team higher is the Bulldogs. And their win rate is decent. High fortress factor, good amount of home games, pushes them right up to the top. Whereas the Bulldogs, who you would also argue had a fortress last year, yeah, they also have a high fortress factor, but because they have only 5 home games, they drop down a little bit, also with a similar win rate as Manly. So those two examples work. We'll have a look at the mids to see if they also make sense. So we'll look at, say, the Roosters. Draw score of... Sorry, that's not right, is it? Unhighlight, please. There we go. Draw score... Excuse me, fuck. Sorry, excuse me. Roosters with a draw score of 39. 5 home games, not that great. They seem to win a kind of significantly more at home, but not as much as the likes of Bulldogs and Manly. So their fortress factor is a bit lower, and they're down in the orange here, just kind of average. And I think this kind of position is where we expect the Roosters to start the year, I would argue, with all their injuries and players moving on and stuff. Now we'll look at the Reds to make sure they make sense. So straight away, these are all teams that have less home games, which matters, but it doesn't matter as much with these teams because their fortress factor and their home game value and stuff is less, hence why this number's less. So basically this is a combination of draw difficulty and how significant home games are to the team, as well as how many home games they have. And when you consider that, like Manly starting with 6 home games, easy opponents, it makes sense they're at the top. So this will be really handy. I'll update this for Origin once we get to sort of round 10, 11, so we can start planning that. Maybe earlier, we'll go around 8. Yeah, so feel free to screenshot that. I might even make this accessible for subscribers if I can do that. I'm not entirely sure. And you can filter this by whatever, like who's got the highest win rate. Look at that, Storm and Panthers shocked me. So we can now use this with our team. Yeah, cool. So, okay, so Tamale, by the way, just a quick side note, I think he's a bit of a trap. Albert Hopewadi is only ruling himself out for Las Vegas because his wife is due to give birth, which sees, I think, Ricky Stewart's son come in. But yeah, just the minutes for him are kind of up in the air, so just be careful with him. So, say we are tossing up between, let's use halfbacks just as an example. We're tossing up between Cleary, Hughes, and Hines. If we come over here, filter by this side again, we can see that Hughes actually seems to be the best option with Panthers all the way down here. It's a little bit of an anomaly because it's Cleary, but you know what I'm saying. And then Sharks also down here. So if we look at the difference, Hughes will have an extra Storm game, home game, over the Panthers and 2 over the Sharks. And Storm's win rate, their win rate at home plus their win rate gives them a pretty high fortress factor. So I know there's that first buy there, but maybe Hughes could be a target for round 4 when their draw really softens up. St George, Manly, New Zealand, Dolphins, Souths, Canberra, Wests into the Sharks. So Hughes could be the option. I would argue he is the option between them. Whereas Hines, his draw score, it's okay. Fortress factor, it's okay. So why are the Sharks down here? It's the home games. Yeah. So they're playing away a lot. They're playing fairly tough opposition. There's a few easy ones sprinkled in there, but when you know how this table works, it's so fucking helpful. And I will update it as we go throughout the year. I'll make sure it stays relevant. Who did I take out? Was it Dodd? Dodd also, I can't remember where I heard it, but people aren't liking Dodd as much anymore, unless I'm getting confused with someone else. Anyway, so I hope this thing can be helpful for you. I spent fucking ages doing all these numbers and shit, so drop a like on the video, please. Next video will be going over the players to watch in the trials. I have a little slideshow thingy that has each game, players to watch in those games. I'll update it once teams list comes out, and on that video is where you guys will comment your bets for the trials, and then the following video I will add them to the active bets section here. Cool, we're getting close now, footy's nearly here, can't fucking wait. Thanks for watching, guys, appreciate yous. Uru.
Not even down there, Stinky. What the fuck? What? What?
Oh my god, can I please put that at the end of a video?
If you have to. That wasn't recorded.
Oh my god.
The bite and everything.
No, I didn't get the bite.